Nagaland Minister Kenye Friday day Julie Thagya IAS induction mamla de koigina bureaucracy de kunuba na pungcha nimide huwa kushi. State Selection and Screening Committee Kampra, Department of Personnel DOP Guideline 1954 aro 1997 laga under the niyam chulaigina taikhan laga duty kurshi. Tai junaishi ki agere 11 applicants Khan laga majude pasta candidates ke shortlist krishi और Union Public Service Commission UPSC के recommend krishi. Kenye junaishi ke to process ke transparent tarika pra national और state standards laga niyam khan palpa July gina Korea krishi. Junai dibo itia association bishi mili gina pen down strike chuli ase. Non NCS khan ke IAS de induct Korea nimide.
Discussed. The cabinet was appraised of the progress made on the FNDA. It appears that the center had been holding talks with the ENPO in August, also in September also. I think the last was in Dimapur, sometime in August, early September. And you're aware, the state has already furnished our recommendations to the center after the center asked for state's opinion on several points. On many of the points we have agreed, there were certain areas where maybe reconsiderations should be. So it was on those areas only the talks was centered around still. And to address those minutely, a subcommittee had been established by the PNAR department here in the state, along with the ENPO officials. That's a new development, and we hope that that will address the crux of the matter that is holding us back from further progress.
So what is the crux of the matter?
That only they will do. The members from both sides, the ENPO and the PNAR. But roughly, from whatever was presented to us today, I think it centers around the dissolution of the FNPA's council, executive council, if it so happens. In such a case, who would recommend? Supposing there is a constitutional breakdown. One. And if it so happens that it is dissolved, who will be in charge, given the charge? Those are some areas which are there. And it is another thing is the funding pattern, I suppose. And the third could be in the appointments of the different cadres in the region that is to be. But these are minor areas, and I think with more deliberation it should be resolved. Over time. So everything is moving smoothly, and we hope the center will be sincere and will not waste more time while expedite the process.
Was there any discussion on the resolution on that?
Yes. After the last memorandum and submissions made by the 5 tribes, that the tribal block-wise representatives should not be there, but be replaced by exclusively senior government officials. I think we have rectified that. as the proposal was to do with a senior former government official, IS. We are fortunate that our former Development Commissioner, Mr. Ramakrishna, has so kindly accepted the responsibility to spearhead the commission. And there are others who will be the ex-official members from the PNAR. Commissioner Secretary will be the Member Secretary. Then another will be from the Law and Justice Department. And the other will be from the whole of Commission. I think we have 4 or 5 members. The orders will be out in a day or two. With that, from the date that they are given the appointment orders, the 6 months start ticking.
Sir, last time in the month of August during the press conference, you have mentioned about the center suggesting creating a separate constitutional provision under 371 for FNT. And you have also mentioned that the cabinet will be visiting daily to confirm that. So can you please update us on that?
Yeah. That came up for discussion today. And very specifically, we have discussed it. Members were concerned about the status of that position. But I could not be a part of the team which went to the But all those who went, headed by our chief minister and our 2 deputy chief ministers also, and quite a lot of members from the ENPO area, they have confirmed that the center does not mean to make any amendments for the 371A. So they will be only having a chapter, and a chapter in the form maybe of an ordinance or a state act, an act by our own state assembly, which will effect the changes necessary outside, which falls outside of the purview of the 371A. So in no way it is going back to the parliament. That has been confirmed.
Sir, a different topic, but you have raised this issue in the assembly. You presented a statement regarding to these organizations, too many organizations that we have. So a lot of those organizations are being handled even by government employees. So can the government do anything to prevent such from taking place, since the government has initiated this even in the assembly that there are too many organizations we have to cut down?
Of course, we cannot afford our employees spearheading NGO, non-government organizations,
And CSOs.
and CSOs. I think government rules prohibit anyone from taking down such positions. So we are not going to be lenient, and the choice is the person's own, but they cannot be doing 2 things at the same time. Yeah, either that or this. And if they still defy government rules and violate government rules, then they will face severe implications and consequences.
So can the government give any order in this effect?
Well, I think it is understood, but if we detect any such, then notice will be served to them to decline, resign themselves, not to take up those positions. And so here there are cases where we are not aware of such instances. So if the public is aware, then it will do well. They will do well to bring it to the notice of the government immediately without wasting time. The issue that is confronting the state government and the people as a whole is the indigenous status. Earlier I was asking you if you had some more discussions with the parties concerned. Today it did not come up in the capital because we were slated to meet the tribals yesterday, our tribal organizations, but our brothers from the eastern sector would not make it due to paucity of time and information. So it was postponed. But nevertheless, this issue has been doing the rounds, and over and on, the government has tried to assert our contention of what and who this indigenous status means and should be conferred to. So here, I think I have discussed this issue with you sometime back, but we want to again assert the position of the government that despite all said and done, whatever it may be, indigenous, that very word in the English dictionary, I don't know which ones you use. I use all three, Webster's, Chandler's, and Oxford also. You may refer to it also, but it means people evolving naturally. It means the original owners and the original settlers who have been there, occupied it as occurrence naturally by evolution or by occupation and taking ownership of that particular land through, say, war, and have been occupying it ever since then as owners. So here there are no two interpretations or aspects of it. Our people have to understand. Our land has undergone a lot of changes through ages, you see, centuries together. So the upper ridges have never fallen into the hands of any other power. It is the lowlands adjacent to the Assam state just now, which we have a lot of dispute with the government of Assam and us today. Here, there are different interpretations and versions that those, especially the 4 sub-tribes who have come to be a part of the scheduled tribes in our state, started claiming as indigenous citizens of the state. I think that is irrelevant. We have to understand. Among them, the Garos, they are mostly originated from present-day Meghalaya, and Kacharis and Mitris. They are also more or less indigenous to Assam. And the Kukis, they are scattered around in many states in the northeast. We would not like to delve into their migrative route, which is further south maybe, but that's an entirely different problem. So when the state was formed, our yesteryear leaders were kind enough to accommodate many who have settled before 1963, the 1st of December, and grant them permanent citizenship. Granting them that status need not necessarily mean that they have become indigenous. Not that anyone can transfer this status to another. It is just not possible. It cannot be awarded also, nor can it be transferred also. No, you just can't do it. It is something which has to do with history and settlement and ownership. So today, when the government have said that in order to implement the register of indigenous inhabitants of Thailand, because following that we have so many other social political problems, like granting of inner line permits, implementing it strictly, and also the indigenous certificates, along with it, the permanent residence certificate, and all others that is to do with the citizenship of the state. But for more than 60 years, we have not been strict on trying to differentiate and segregate who are indigenous, who are not. So today, the government of the day under our Chief Minister, Dr. Rio, I think have resolved in fact that it is time about. It's about time that we start getting down to the smallest details so that the confusion among us will not be carried beyond our generation, our present day. There will be clarity on all fronts, and it will be efficient for the government and the administration to start implementing the policies of the present day government. That is how, when the government had given time for the other tribes to have a revision of the enumeration, to write down the names and families of those who have settled here before 1963, instead of cooperating with the government and taking the opportunity, they have started rebelling and challenging the government's order for enumeration of their citizens here in the state. So they have dragged the government to court and have said that the revision should not take place, like other Naga tribes whose enumerations are not taking place. They too, there should be no enumeration. But that is wrong. Whereas the other tribes of Nagaland do not have any family relations from outside of the state, excepting 1 or 2 cases. The general public are confined since time immemorial to the territorial jurisdiction of the present state. The other tribes, be it the Kukis, the Mikirs, the Kacharis, and the Garos, they are migrative in nature and they have percolated into Naga. So we want to know exactly our proper citizens prior to 1963. This, I think, should not be misunderstood. We are not discriminating, it is for clarity. And news have been going around, you will know better. Your own counterparts in neighboring states, some have, I think, very vigorously trying to propagate the idea that the Mapu has been leased out for 99 years or so, and that it was the kingdom of Dima, the Kachari king, and all sort of things built upon that type of history. But we should be very clear about this. We will discuss more on this someday, hopefully, in the proper place of the mountain. But history tells us prior to 1228 AD, prior to 1228 AD, there was a Kachara kingdom there. But when the Horns came all the way from Thailand, very strong, very good warriors, they came and then they completely took over the Kachara kingdom. So, ever since 1228, Kachara king, the monarch and their people have already abandoned their own kingdom and has gone to what you call today as North Kachara and sea, Africa. And from there on, they went further down to Kachang district, which is a part of Assam today, and have settled there. Some remnants might have slowly come again as raiders or whatever, and have come and settled down in the north many centuries later. So after them, you see, 1228, then came the Horns after that. In 1228, then again our Horns were defeated by the Burmese generals who came on the expedition, completely routed, and they took over. So our Horns had to flee. They fled, and next, after the Burmese occupied, it was the English, the British soldiers who came again, and they defeated the Burmese, what you call it, Burmese on all fronts. And after the Treaty of Yandabo, 1826, I think, they have surrendered and they went back. Burmese went back. So after the British came the government of India through the Assam province. And it was during British India that Naga Hills was established in 1866. Prior to that, they had already established a subdivision. So we were already being administered partly by the Englishmen who first set foot in our land. And the administrative structure arrived there. So power keeps changing hands. You see, authority keeps changing. So in about 700 to 800 years plus, how can the occupants of those era come and say today that they are the indigenous citizens of them once they came? And that is completely irrelevant. It was once upon a time. But if you study history, in so many instances in the world, there were empires who have conquered different parts, like you say, Mongolia. What about the king, the empire, Genghis Khan, who had the mightiest and largest empire in the world ever seen? It extended up to Eastern Europe. Yeah, you look at that. Now, supposing they are to claim on the basis of history that those are theirs, who would agree? After all, in due course of time, they have again receded. Or, for that matter, the Greater India. The Greater India was today what you call Pakistan. You have Bangladesh. You have even a portion of Afghanistan and so many others. Now, they claim on the basis of history that they are the indigenous people. Who would agree? Time changes. Power keeps changing hands. And so that is how history is. Well, today I think we should be clear about those things. We will delve more into it. But we wish that people do not get agitated or rebel against the government's policies and work in cooperation so that we will have peace on all fronts of understanding.
CM has mentioned about this issue on several occasions that these four tribes has to listen to the government. So if they continue to rebel like this, is the Nagaland Legislative Assembly has the power to take away the status that has been granted to them?
The stakeholders, the tribal organizations, are the stakeholders. And we are the people's government. Our chief minister always seeks the opinion of our tribal leaders first, because Article 371A is very clear about the powers vested to our customary authorities. That especially anything to do with land and its resources, the transfer of ownership is very sensitive. So the government places so much importance on our tribal leaders that every now and then we wish to confer with them on such matters. So this time we have missed the opportunity, but in due course of time, I'm sure we'll be having a detailed discussion with all the stakeholders on such matters also. What I'm saying is just more or less personal observation.
So the government does have the power to take away the status granted to them.
For such citizens, they should be cautious in their movements and cooperate with the government of the day, because government make rules and they may confer or they may deprive or they may make certain policies which may change the course of administration also. It is all at the government's.
So what is the status of the court case?
Court has issued a stay that the government not go enumeration, undertake enumeration of these 4 tribes just now. So if that is the case, then the government has no option but to curtail all other benefits to them. That has to be the status of this people. So, yeah, there are other things.
Push things to short.
If so, then the government may be forced to review whatever has been offered to them. Scheduled tribe is one, it is all right, but granting indigenous status is another. Okay.
Sir, one last question. The Joint Coordination Committee on IAS Induction, they have just extended their, pen-down strike from tomorrow. So what is your say on that?
I'm not aware of that.
They
But
have just
initially
issued a
it was
statement.
3 days.
Yeah, but they've extended it, starting tomorrow.
I see. Well, the cabinet subcommittee will meet them at the earliest possible time, and we will try to find a solution to this amicably.
The 20th meeting will be along with them, or is this the pub?
With
With them.
this group. We will invite